Scrappy people, it's Traci Reed here today, coming at you with a fun tutorial on how to make your own Traveler's Notebook insert stitched style rather than on rings like I normally do. So I am currently just taking some plain paper that is cut to 8.25 high by 8.5 wide, and I am scoring it right down the middle at 4.25 inches. And the reason that I'm doing that with regular paper is because I'm using my printable collection, the free printable collection called Have a Nice Day. And the way that I have these printed is they are single-sided papers, and I need double-sided papers. So I'm using these regular printer papers as a base for to glue on the these single-sided papers. Now if you are using double-sided paper, you would just do the exact same thing, only you would cut down your double-sided paper to 8.5 inches wide by 8.25 inches tall and score that paper at 4.25 inches in, and you wouldn't need to mess with the printer paper. So you can see that I am sort of sorting my papers so that they are, some will be paired with the plain white paper, some will be paired with other patterns. I'm just kind of sorting them through to see how I like it. And now I'm going to start gluing them down onto the printer paper. Again, if you are using double-sided paper, this is a step that you can skip. But you have to keep in mind, if you are using single-sided paper, that this is the front and the back of a spread, not two pages that go together. So you just need to make sure you keep your pages in order as you go through. So this that I'm gluing down right now is like the inside front, and that other side is like the outside back. So these pages are not actually going together, they're going to get nested with the pages on top of, with more pages on top of them. So it's kind of complicated to keep in mind as you're doing it, but once you start moving down the line, it starts making more sense. So I'm just kind of moving through page by page and gluing everything down. I actually used a bit of a thicker printer paper for my journal because I knew that I wanted to use some of the printer pages as plain white paper for just having some color breaks in. So I used some more high quality printer paper. I think it is 32-pound printer paper instead of just regular copy paper. So once I get all of these glued down, you will see that I'm going to create a cover, and also I'm going to show you how to pamphlet stitch, which is really easy. Pamphlet stitch your Traveler's Notebook down the middle rather than staple it, because I don't have a long arm stapler, and that's kind of what you need to make a Traveler's Notebook, like a stapled Traveler's Notebook. And also I really like the way that it looks stitched over the way that it looks stapled. Anyway, it just adds a little touch to it that is a little bit more cute and homemade. So I made a mistake here. I thought I could cut off just the excess on that paper, and I end up cutting down the middle of that spread. So bummer, but I'm just going to use it to make some pockets down the line instead of using it as an insert. So I got to create another page here to sort of replace the one that I just screwed up. So I'm just going to take it back over to my scoreboard and score it at 4.25. And then reevaluate my layout here. right, that works. So I kept out the plaid paper, you can see on the side there, because I'm going to use it for the cover. I was just trimming down the edges here. So what happens is the inside pages have so much padding at the crease that they stick out a little bit more in the middle. So I'm just sort of cutting off just a little bit on these inside pages from the outside edges so that they nest a little bit better. That's not going to be perfect, but that doesn't bother me because once you start adding in pictures and things like that, it's going to get bulky and it doesn't have to be perfect anyway, but some of them were just a little too wide, so I'm just adjusting and fixing that a little bit. So now I'm going to make a cover, and I'm actually going to use an old Cocoa Daisy cover as a base. You can use some thick cardstock, you can use chipboard, but I just had this Cocoa Daisy cover, so it was easy. But you just want something a little bit more firm than, well, obviously these thin printed papers, but a little bit more firm than even regular scrapbook paper would be good, although regular scrapbook paper will work fine. So I'm using these clips to hold my pages in place where they go, and then I'm going to use an awl, and I'm going to poke a hole right at the seam, right at the center, right in the middle, and then one at the top, sort of in a couple inches, and one at the bottom in a couple inches. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to measure unless you're super OCD, which I am sometimes, but I wasn't this time. I'm actually getting out regular thread that I'm going to loop up quite a few times to make it thick like embroidery floss. So you want a thick thread. So if you have embroidery floss, use that. I didn't have any embroidery floss on me, so I'm just taking this and I'm looping it a few times to make it have a few strands, and then I'm going to put them all through the needle and sew with multiple strands to make this nice and thick. So I tie the ends, so you can see I think I looped it 4 times and then I tie it together to give me 8 strands. And I'm going to start in the middle and I'm going to go through and then to the bottom here. And then from the bottom on the inside, if I can ever get through the hole, there we go. From the bottom I'm going to go up to the very top and then back in through the middle. And I actually like to secure my stitching a few times around. You don't have to go through more than once, but I like going through the holes more than once just to really make it redundant and nice and firm. So just go up through the top and then the bottom until you run out of string. That's what I like to do. And then I'm going to tie the loop, and I'm actually tying it on the outside because I'm going to cover up that crease with some paper, and that will firm it up even more, like lock that stitching in. So I'm going to use this paper as sort of a binding on the outside, so I'm cutting it down to I believe 2 inches, and I'm not going to make this perfect either by measuring. Maybe I should have because it is a little bit crazy, but I'm just going to wrap it around the binding here to sort of seal it in. And it's super cute. I love the way that came out. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use that excess paper, and I'm going to create a couple pockets as well. So I'm kind of looking to see where I want to create pockets. So I'm going to create a vertical pocket along this side, and I'm using liquid glue as little as possible around the edges so that it seals the edges but doesn't take away too much from the pocket itself, like too much space around the edges so that you can't fit something in there. And then I'm going to repeat the process, and I'm going to use this paper, and I'm actually going to create a horizontal pocket at the bottom of this green paper. So again, I'm using my 1 inch or 1.5 inch circle punch to create sort of a half circle cutout, and then I'm going to use my glue again and glue around the outside edges, just creating some fun pockets to add in some ephemera, or tuck in some pictures or whatever it is that I want to put in there. kind of testing to see what size will fit in here. Obviously that is a little bit big, but the journaling cards will fit in just fine. Super cute. So that is a really quick and easy way to make your own Traveler's Notebook insert. I, of course, use the free Have a Nice Day collection that's available on my website. So if you want to test out some hybrid scrapbooking, that is there for you to test it out. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. And if you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Traci M. Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. And I will see you next time for another Smash Your Stash video. All right, thank you.